Hi, Basak. Let's take a look at this first set of essays you've sent us, doing an enjoyable activity with a child. There are many ways for a child to learn something. Reading looks like one of the most boring ones. Alternatively, they can do some enjoyable activities to improve their skills and imagination. I tend to believe that for a child it would be better to have both reading and learning by experience for an ideal development. Okay, so there's some good elements to this introduction, but there are some things that I would like to change. Specifically, some of the expressions seem a little unnatural. So I don't like this where it says reading looks like one of the most boring ones. It just feels very unnatural English. So let's change that to something else. Reading is considered to be one of the most, I don't really like this most boring. It feels a little too conversational. So maybe we could change that too and say reading seems to be one of the less exciting ones. Okay? And then here, I felt like you needed some sort of contrast. So here, let's see. Reading looks like reading seems to be one of the less exciting ones. However, alternatively, they can do some enjoyable activities in order to improve their skills and imagination. And then the rest of it is fine. We don't say from one side, we say on the one hand. So, on the one hand, learning by joyful experience looks like, no, not looks like better, again, awkward. It is better than just sitting and reading something. This is because when a child tries something or plays a game with friends, they use all of their five senses. For example, in scout camps, while learning how to set a fire, nearly every child burns their hands, but afterwards, they would never forget how to do it properly. Therefore, doing an enjoyable activity may be the best for a young person to learn something, but we cannot just throw all the books away. All right, I like this first part. However, the second part doesn't really fit here. It would have been better in the next paragraph, okay? So you could have just stopped here. And then here you could have said, on the other hand, there is no reason to just throw all the books away. And then get rid of this. This is far too idiomatic, and it's not an expression that we use in English. It sounds like it's a direct translation from another language. So I would get rid of this. And here I would say, on the other hand, there is no reason to throw away all the books. This is because reading could open wider perspectives as for creativity. For instance, by reading travel guidebooks, children can travel to many countries in hours, whereas in reality, they would need to spend a great deal of time, and they would need permission from their parents. Well, they would need a lot more than that, actually. But I understand what you're trying to say. It's just not really very clear, okay? So this needs to be developed a little differently. Consequently, it looks like for a child there should be a balance between reading and doing an enjoyable activity. Okay. To conclude from the examples and arguments given, I agree both for young... No, this is awkward. To conclude from the examples and arguments given, I agree that for the young generation's creativity and skills, their study plan should include both reading and experiencing with joy. This is awkward, experiencing with joy. How about just participating in fun activities, okay? In the future, we may be able to see the helpful results when they grow up. All right, so you really have used the template quite well. You've developed your answers somewhat. It's fairly cohesive. There were a couple places that really lacked some coherence. There were some places where the language wasn't particularly natural, and you might have wanted to change around some vocabulary and so forth. On the whole, though, it's a good first attempt. I liked it. So you just need to make some of those corrections that I mentioned. All right, let's take a look at your second essay here. All right, so now let's take a look at the other essay, which is about schools and whether they should be entertaining or only educational. Here is what you said. Okay, most of the students say that they do not really enjoy to go to school every day. It is because some people think that a school's main target is to educate children. I tend to believe that schools may have more entertaining study plans in order to gain child's interest. This essay will analyze why schools have to be more entertaining by giving examples from recent studies and effective ways of learning. All right. Again, the structure is good, the content is good, but something is happening with the grammar and it's kind of messing us up. So let's look at that a little bit. This should say, most students say that they do not really enjoy going to school every day. This is because, and this is also, it doesn't flow correctly. So the reason why kids don't like going to school is not because people think that a school's main target is to educate, but the fact that the schools themselves focus only on education. So you have to change this around a little bit. I would have said instead, this is because even today, the school's main target is to educate children. That makes more sense. I tend to believe that schools may have to be more entertaining. No, may have more. Let's try it again. I tend to believe that schools should have more entertaining study plans in order to gain children's interest. This essay will analyze why schools have to be more entertaining by giving examples from recent studies and effective ways of learning. Okay, then it makes sense. So you have to change around some of the language here, some of the grammar, some of the syntax to make it more natural sounding. Firstly, when a child learns something with experience and joy, it remains in their brain for a longer period of time. This is because they record it as a happy moment. For example, recent studies have shown that children who learn, no S, science by scientific experiments, remember, no S, the test results longer than when compared with the ones who just read them from the science books. Get rid of the here. Therefore, they have a better chance to use their knowledge in their future studies and even daily life. Let's see. Okay. All right, we'll talk about this in a minute. Let's keep going. Secondly, to learn better, it seems like children should have an excitement for it with an A here. This is because when they're excited, they would pay more attention to what they are studying. For instance, learning a language by singing songs is a very effective way of studying new words with pleasure. Consequently, interesting and innovative ways of learning would create a willingness in students in order to study their lectures better. I don't know if that's the right word. Again, I think some of your word choices here are inaccurate and you're kind of losing some coherence, okay? So it's not that they would study their lectures better. I mean, not according to what you said about the singing. It sounds more like it would create a willingness for students to approach their subject matter more enthusiastically. All right, let's look at the conclusion. To conclude, from the examples and arguments given, I firmly agree that schools should be more entertaining. By this in the future, we may have children who want, no S, to go to school every day with excitement. I have no idea what this means here, by this in the future. I really don't know what that means. I don't know what you're trying to say, so it's really incoherent. But there's something else I want to talk to you about here. So for me, one of the biggest problems here is that you've got some expressions and some language that you're using that's really unnatural, and it makes your message lose coherence. And so for me, that's the first big problem here. The second problem that I see here has to do with how you actually tackled this topic. So what do we mean here when it says schools have to be more entertaining? What is entertaining? Entertainment means fun, enjoyment, laughter, amusement. Okay? And from what I can see here in your body paragraphs, yeah, you talk about experience and joy, but really the examples and the support you provided talk more about experiential, hands-on learning and not so much this idea of entertainment and fun. Okay? So up here you're fine, but then you said that if they learn with a science experiment. Okay, well, who is trying to tell us here that the science experiment is fun and enjoyable and entertaining? Is it experiential? Yes. Is it hands-on? Yes. But is that entertainment? No. Okay, it's just more engaging, sure, but you cannot equate this with the word entertainment. You see, this is how the people at IELTS are really trying to test your understanding of vocabulary and how well you understand it. So this isn't really entertainment, not the example you've used here. And then here you were okay, you started doing it all right, but then you kind of lost it. All right, yeah, maybe singing songs is entertainment. Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here and I'll say okay. But then again, like I said, you kind of lost coherence with that last sentence. So it's these two areas that for me needed work in this particular essay. Again, the template is used correctly. The vocabulary, well, no, some of the vocabulary had some problems. Your organization of your answer is good. So it's the other areas, the other criteria of IELTS writing that I need you to work on a little bit. So let's do that now, okay? The first thing that I want you to do is I want you to correct these essays based on this video correction. That's number one. Number two, I want you to start a essay correction list where you write down all the errors that you make in your essay, all the ones that I've pointed out to you, and then next to each mistake you have to write down what the corrected version would be. This is something you're going to add to with each essay correction you get back so that you can refer to it and you know, learn from your mistakes. And then the third thing you need to do is send us a new set of essays. Try to do all this within the next day or so. So that we can really apply everything you've been learning, all right? Go ahead, get that started, and we'll meet back here with your next set of essays. Good luck.